let's take a look at my deck, but before we do, let's play a game of riddles. Which Lord of the Rings character is an old man who marshaled an army of Rohan to Helm's Deep, and then, in the morning, after a night of siege, rode into the Uruk-hai on a white horse? If you said Theoden, you are correct. If you said Gandalf, you are also correct. They both basically contributed to this battle in the same way. Theoden marshaled the army to Helm's Deep, and then in the morning after the siege, he rode out on Snowmane. And then that same morning, Gandalf had gathered Erkenbrand and his army, and they also charged into battle. So once I realized that Gandalf and Theoden contributed to this battle in basically the same way, I didn't mind using Gandalf instead of Theoden in my build. So here's my build. And as you can see, if we go to the history of the build, I'll start down here. I struggled. I mean, I kept trying different builds. I had Snowmane, Erkenbrand, I had Theoden. I was trying to use Spirit, but the problem with Rohan is you discard these Rohan allies. And I was just struggling keeping any kind of board state. I really wanted Gambling in this deck because he has some pretty good moments in the book. But at the end of the day, I ended up dropping Spirit altogether. And this is my build. I just originally thought I'd have Gandalf as sneak attack Gandalf because, he comes in at the last second. And so having him for the whole battle seemed kind of unthematic. But having Theoden just sitting there doing nothing, which is literally what he was doing in this deck. Theoden would just contribute 2 willpower. That's all, because this quest I need a lot of willpower, and I always had to send Theoden on the quest, and if I didn't have Snowmane, that's all he did. So Gandalf is much better because I have Beyond All Hope on Gandalf, so he is actually boosted. All of his stats are boosted a little bit, so that is incredibly helpful. And along with him, we have Éomer, because Éomer and Aragorn worked together in this battle. Éomer and Aragorn are the ones who would go through that side door and clear the causeway along with Gimli. Of course, Legolas is here. My only spirit card is Hama, which Aragorn can pay for if he has Celebrian Stone or if Hama is on top of the deck, because Gandalf can pay for cards off the top of the deck. This also added resource smoothing, which was great. Éomer is always spending his resource to attack up into the staging area, and I have some expensive, well, not super expensive, but I have some leadership cards I need to pay for, like Guthwini, his sword, which is great because that can pull back Rohan allies. The ally I love to pull back is Grimbold because he's basically a feint, and he quests for 2. You don't have to exhaust him for this to work, so having Grimbold is really, really helpful. And I just have some other Rohan allies helping me out, and Foehammer for card draw, Flame of Anor for some action advantage, Open the Armory to find the weapons. This is a very thematic card for this quest. Proud Hunters is amazing because when Éomer kills the first enemy, it's usually that enemy that has 4 threat, so that puts 4 resources on Éomer, and it really helps me pay for everything else. And then my final hero is the Messenger of the King, Darrowwine. When he's defending, spend a leadership resource to cancel the shadow effect of the attacking enemy. Rohan doesn't have a good tactics defender as a hero. They're usually attackers. So a Messenger of the King, Darrowwine, is really good, and he is only 7 threat. So that helps counter Gandalf's super high threat. And I have no threat reduction in this deck at all. The other great thing about Gandalf is it let me put in a little bit of healing, so self-preservation and the long defeat. So I have to have either a little bit of luck and get it on top of the deck to play, or I use Wizard Pipe to make sure it's on top of my deck so I can play it with Gandalf's ability. Aragorn, of course, this is the one we have to use. Spend 2 resources to ready somebody. So this is the deck. It works really well. It's a lot of fun. I like having Aragorn and Éomer doing a lot of the attacking, because in the battle, these are the 2 characters that rally the troops and fight together. And it's a very thematic deck, and I really enjoy playing it against this quest. All right, let's go to the table. All right, so Setup takes a while. Campaign mode, Helm's Deep. We're going to not use any burdens with those symbols. So once again, these 3 burdens are not going to be in play or in the deck. We do start out with Overcome by Grief in the staging area. So if somebody is destroyed, that gets attached to a hero. We have a bunch of boons, including Beyond All Hope, which we earned in the last quest. So Gandalf has a +1 stat boost and cannot have encounter card attachments on him. So that is excellent. We have, as I said, Darrowwine as a messenger of the king hero. So his threat is a combination of all his stats. So he is a 7 threat hero. He's my defender. I can spend a leadership resource to cancel a shadow effect if he's defending. Éomer can attack up into the staging area, and then Aragorn can ready other heroes. He's going to hold on to the Lembas, which hopefully I don't have to use this quest. I have Tom Bombadil in my starting hand. That is a Test of Will, a 1 and done, and Old Bogey Stories lets me shuffle away a hand of at least 6 cards and draw 6 cards. This might be the quest where I end up using Tom Bombadil. Starting threat of 31, no threat reduction in this deck, so very dangerous. All right, 1A, the King of the Golden Hall, and we have a big decision to make right off the bat. Setup, set 3 cards aside out of play, and then we are going to choose. Either shuffle 1 copy of Poison Councils into our deck, or advance to stage 2A and bypass 1B. So at this point, we should already have drawn our opening hand. I always do setup first before I draw my opening hand so I can kind of explain what cards I'm looking for based on the setup. But if we shuffled in Poison Councils into our deck, that means we could draw it at any time during this quest, and the quest resolution in campaign mode says we will keep Poison Councils for the rest of the campaign. Well, what is Poison Council? Besides being obviously bad, awesome art. This is a burden that says if we draw this into our hand, we discard our entire hand. That is so bad. It is absolutely terrible. On the last episode, which is episode 207 of the podcast, I was trying to figure out the theme of this card because it seems like by taking the Poison Council, we get a benefit. If you look at what side 1B says, we get a free round and a free ally. So why is taking Poison Councils granting me some sort of benefit? Well, the way we looked at it is I'm not taking the Poison Council at this moment. It's like a lasting effect that could affect me at any time later. So by avoiding the Poison Council right now and mustering an army for war and preparing for battle, I am risking that I'm going to take Poison Council later. And let me tell you something. If you draw this in some of these later quests, it's game over, dude. I mean, it's just so bad. So no, we are not taking Poison Councils, which means we do not get a free ally and we do not get a free round. So I look at it as, at this moment, we took the Poison Council. Like, I listened to Grima, I didn't muster an army, I didn't prepare, and now I'm going to suffer for it as we defend Helm's Deep. But I do not have to worry about taking Poison Council later. How important would a free ally in turn be? Well, let's look at 2A, Assault on Helm's Deep. When revealed, add the defense of Helm's Deep and each set-aside copy of the Soldier of Isengard to the staging area, make the Deeping Wall the active location, shuffle the encounter deck, and then reveal an encounter card. So we're going to have an enemy, an encounter card, and then when we quest, another encounter card. So yeah, it's like starting on turn 3. Okay, the defense of Helm's Deep is going to be in the staging area. This is our main objective, so it's a siege, and we need to withstand the siege. So we're going to add 1 to the total threat in the staging area for each resource token here. First, at the end of the quest phase, place 1 resource token here. If there are ever 8, we're going to add Defense of Helm's Deep to the victory display and advance to 5A. So basically, we have to survive 8 rounds at a minimum. Deeping Wall is our active location. It's a 4/4. While it's the active location, each hero gets +1 defense. That's nice. First, when it's explored, raise each player's threat by 4. That's not nice, especially in a deck with no threat reduction. Our enemy in the staging area could be a boss level enemy. He is a Soldier of Isengard, 39 engagement, 4 threat, 4 attack, 1 defense, 4 hit points, toughness 1, archery 1, and then after Soldier of Isengard attacks and destroys a character, place 1 progress on the quest. So that is the main mechanic of this quest. We don't place progress on any of the quest cards or active locations. The enemies do. So anytime we under quests, we actually place progress on the quests and the active location first. based on the difference. We don't raise our threat. It's progress being placed. So we don't want the enemies to advance. We don't want the enemies to break into Helm's Deep. It's an awesome way of representing a siege where the enemy is trying to make progress and we are trying to keep them from advancing. So that is the main goal. That is why I need a powerful opening hand, because they can make progress very fast. Okay, we got Foehammer, we got an ally, we got Guthwini, that's great. We got a shield for Darrowwine, we got a second copy of Guthwini, and some action advantage for Gandalf. So that is a really nice opening hand. My thought process here is Éomer attacking up into the staging area is like I am pushing down the ladder. I am keeping the enemies from advancing in. Once the enemies have engaged me, I feel like thematically they have entered Helm's Deep, and now I need to kill them fighting on the walls, fighting after they come in through the culvert. But if Éomer can keep killing them while they're still in staging, then they don't breach the wall. So that's how I look at this. That's why I think Éomer is really thematic for this quest. Okay, we are told to reveal an encounter card before we flip. So that's why I drew my opening hand. You should always have your opening hand before you set up the quest. We drew Reckless Hate. When revealed, the enemy in the staging area with the highest attack value makes an immediate attack. If no attack was made, surge. Okay, so he's attacking for 4, and Darrowwine is defending for 4 thanks to the active location. So 4 against 4. The shadow is exhaust a character I control. So this isn't great because I'm going to be going into this quest stage with 2 characters exhausted, and if I engage an enemy, I'm kind of screwed. So Éomer is going to exhaust. Okay, 2B, 8 progress needed, defense. Forced at the end of the combat phase, if the number of enemies in the staging area is less than the number of players, reveal an encounter card. And then forced at the end of the round, place 1 progress on the quest, skipping the active location for every enemy in the staging area. So yes, that is bad. That's another reason why attacking up into the staging area is pretty good, because I could reveal an enemy if I don't have one in staging at the end of the combat phase, and then in the quest phase, I can attack that enemy. So we'll see if this works. It's very easy to advance to the next stage. The defense keyword there, that is the keyword that tells you that the enemies are going to place progress instead of raising your threat for underquesting. I'm going to play a round shield on Darrowwine, so now he can either cancel the shadow effect or get +2 defense for it. So I'm able to cancel shadow effects like additional attacks, and then attack boosts, I actually get a defense boost from him. So that's a great free attachment to put on Darrowwine. I'm going to save up for Guthwini, and unfortunately that's it. Can't afford the ally in my hand, even though he only costs 2 since I control a Rohan hero, and I can't afford the one on top of my deck because that costs 3. So I did not get a card in play other than the free shield, and already have 2 characters exhausted. Not a good start. So let's quest for 4 and 2. So yeah, I'm only sending 6, and we're already up against 4. Not good. Really not good. Okay, so it's going to be 6 against 4, and the card we reveal... Oh, jeez. What can men do against such reckless hate? I'm getting attacked again with every single character exhausted. It's an attack of 4. I have 2 characters with 5 hit points. So I can survive this. It'll be 4 damage on somebody, as long as I don't get an attack boost. And the card we get, place 1 progress on the active location. Attacking enemy gets +1 attack for every progress there. So that is going to kill a hero, and that is the end of that game. So very hard quest. Lost on turn 1. Didn't even make it past the staging step. Okay, let's shuffle everything up and we'll just restart. It definitely happens with this quest. So one of the cards I did not see in my opening hand that I was really hoping to see was Proud Hunters, because as you can see, Guthwini costs 2. So I need to spend 2 leadership resources to put that on Éomer, and then Éomer can't start attacking into the staging area until he has a resource. So either Guthwini luckily ends up on top of my deck so Gandalf can help pay, or maybe Gandalf gets his staff, and that'll let me do some resource acceleration, giving a hero a resource by exhausting the staff. But I really need to start killing enemies as fast as possible. And then I also would really like to get at least 1 ally in play. I had a very expensive allies, so that wasn't great either. So it's hard. It's a very hard quest. You need a little bit of luck with your opening hand and the card you reveal either during setup or during staging. I mean, it's just so much with 2 cards coming out and a 4-threat enemy already in staging area. I am definitely suffering the consequence of taking Poison Council right now and not marshaling an army and getting ready, but I still think it's worth it to not take Poison Councils later. Okay, Man the Walls. That'll help me afford an ally, even though that ally won't be able to quest the round it enters play. There's an ally. Clebrian Stone. Okay, that's great. Guthwini is back. There's Proud Hunters. Okay. All right, and then Gimli. That's going to be hard to afford, but I like this. That's a good opening hand. Really like seeing the Proud Hunters. That's going to help a lot. Card on top of my deck is another Man the Walls. Okay, and then the card we reveal... Oh, boy. Okay, it's the Devilry of Saruman. So I got to place 3 progress on the quest, skipping the active location. And then everybody's text box is blank. So that means the top card in my deck is now face down, and it's to the end of the round. So even though this happened basically during setup, it still triggers through the end of the first round. So to the end of the round, all my text boxes are blank, so I'm going to leave that card right there so I don't forget. And what the heck can I put into play right now? Anything? I could play Man the Walls, which reduces the cost of the next ally I play by 1, and that ally can't quest, which is fine for that knight because he's not a quester, but it's actually there for some different allies like Gimli, and I kind of feel like I'd be wasting it. So I am going to send characters on the quest without playing a card. Ugh. All right, Gandalf for 4, Éomer for 1, Aragorn for 2. So I'm questing for 7, and we reveal another Soldier of Isengard. So it's going to be 8 against 7, which means the enemies are going to place 1 progress on the wall. Honestly, not bad. Okay, Archery 2. So let's put that on Éomer. And then I'm defending for 4. So 4 against 4. No shadow. Okay, great. So I can't do any damage back to this guy, but I also did not have to worry about taking any extra damage. So that's great. Okay, at the end of the combat phase, we check, and yes, there's an enemy in staging, so we don't need to reveal an encounter card. At the end of the round, we place a progress for every enemy in the staging area. And then I had forgotten to place a resource on the defense at Helm's Deep. So that happened at the end of the quest phase. Okay, that's all the triggers. So we have 1 resource on defense at Helm's Deep, 7 to go. And then now we can flip over the top card of the player's deck because text boxes are no longer blank. So that's awesome. And we drew, the Long Defeat. So that's great. If I can get the Wizard's Pipe, we can play the Long Defeat. On top of my deck is the Raiment of War. So that's awesome. I definitely want to get Raiment of War on Darrowwine. So Raiment of War gives him +1 attack, defense, and 2 hit points because he has Sentinel. And I'm able to pay for that with Gandalf's resources because Gandalf can pay for the top card of the deck. And it's super thematic. Raiment of War actually comes from the Helm's Deep chapter of the novel. So awesome to get that card into play. I'm going to put this token on Gandalf to remind me that I've already played a card off the top of my deck this phase, so I don't play a second one. And now we have Wizard Pipe. Okay, so I am going to be able to get the Long Defeat into play. That's excellent. And I think now that I have another enemy in play, I am going to put in the Rittermark Knight. So I'm only going to spend 1 resource. He can't quest, that's fine, but he has 2 attack, and then if I want to give him +2 attack, I have to discard him at the end of the combat phase. But that's fine, because I have a plan here. Let's play Guthwini on Éomer. So I exhaust Guthwini, and that'll give Éomer +2 attack. I should be able to kill this Soldier of Isengard that's engaged with me. And then that'll let me trigger Proud Hunters, which will give me 4 resources. So I have a plan, and I think if I can pull that off, I'm going to be in a really good spot. We are up against 5 threat, 1 from the die on defense at Helm's Deep, 4 from the enemy. If I engage another enemy, I can ready somebody with Aragorn's resources, but instead we get the Hornburg. Okay, that's awesome. It's a 3 threat location. That's nice. Okay, I'm glad to finally just get a location. We do underquest by 2, so that means 2 progress will go on the Deeping Wall. That's okay. Okay, let's not forget everything this time. So now Okay, defense at Helm's Deep goes up by 1. Okay, I do not need to engage that enemy because my threat is below his. I'm going to take archery 2 like so. And now we're getting attacked. Again, it's 4 against 4. Let's see. Oh, thank goodness. And that enemy is terrible. He makes an immediate attack. So I was glad to see him as a shadow. So I survived that attack. I can exhaust Guthwini, so Éomer attacks for 5. And then 2 more is enough to kill this guy. So since Éomer participated in an attack that destroyed an enemy, I can play Proud Hunters. All right, you have to control a unique noble and a unique ranger, which I do with Éomer and Aragorn. So that means I get 4 resources on Éomer. So that is huge, absolutely huge. Probably the biggest piece of tech that I need to have happen in this deck for it to work well. Okay, I do not need to reveal an encounter card because there's still an enemy up in staging, and that enemy places 1 progress on the quest stage. So we are getting close to 8. I'm going to draw the Wizard Pipe, and we're going to get another knight on top of the deck. So let's play the Wizard Pipe. That lets me swap a card in my hand for a card on top of the deck. And I'm going to spend one of Aragorn's resources for that. And then Gandalf's resource is going to be used to pay for the Long Defeat after I do the swap. So the Long Defeat I'm going to attach to this quest stage. When it gets explored or advanced, I guess we should probably say, I can either heal 5 damage or draw 2 cards. All these leadership resources on Éomer are going to be extremely helpful. I currently have 5. So let's play Celebrian Stone on Aragorn. So now Aragorn's questing for 4, and he has the Spirit resource icon. And then Éomer still has 3 resources, so he's going to be able to attack into the staging area. Okay, this is going really well. So now if I can keep some of these enemies from breaching the wall and engaging me, I'm going to be doing really well. So let's send 10 on the quest. I'm going to spend one of Éomer's resources. I'm going to attack into the staging area for 5 and deal 3 damage because the toughness stops one of the damage from coming through. I am up against 2 plus 4 plus 3, so that's 9. So I'm ahead by 1, and we reveal a 3-threat enemy that's going to engage me, and he bounces back up to the staging area if he destroys a character. All right, so the enemies made 2 progress. 1 will go on the Deeping Wall, which means they have cleared the wall, and I have to raise my threat by 4. That really stinks. And then 1 progress will go on the quest, pushing us almost to the next quest stage. Okay, let's put the resource token on the Defenders of Helm Deep. So now that is a 3 threat, and I have to get to 8. And let's travel to the Hornburg, which is nice. So that reduces the archery total by 1. Okay, I'm getting attacked. It's 3 against 4, no problem. And then I can swing back with the knight. And if I ready somebody with Aragorn's 2 resources, let's say I ready Gandalf, I can add 4 more. So I can attack for 6, but unfortunately, because of his toughness 2, I'm only going to do 2 damage to him. So he still sticks around. Okay, at the end of combat, I check, do I have an enemy in the staging area? I do. And then I place a progress for every enemy in the staging area. So now I am at 7. So I am 1 away from advancing to the next quest stage. Or I should say the enemies are 1 away from advancing to the next quest stage. All right, let's go into the next round. I'm doing pretty good, but I know that this quest can really swarm you with enemies. So, all right, on top of my deck, Snowborn Scout. All right, I want to put in this Westfold Lancer. He costs 3, quests for 2, and then you can discard him to do some direct damage after questing successfully. That's really not useful with toughness, but questing for 2 is, and he has some hit points, so archery soak. Let's use the Wizard Pipe, Snowburn Scout coming into hand, Gimli going on top of the deck. I'm going to play Man the Walls, so Gimli's going to cost 1 less. With the help of Gandalf's resource, I can put him in, and he just can't quest this round, but more archery soak, and he's going to be a good ally once he can start questing. And he's followed by Legolas. Look at that. Gimli and Legolas together. Love it. Okay, I am up against 7 at the moment. So I'll send the Lancer for 2, Aragorn for 4. Éomer is going to quest for 1, and then he's going to do some attacking. Gandalf's going to add his 4. Okay, Éomer is going to attack. Now, I don't have to exhaust Guthwini. The only reason I would is if I wanted to pull back a Rohan ally, but there isn't any in my discard pile. So Eomer's 3 attack is enough to kill the Soldier of Isengard, which is awesome because now we're only up against 3. And the card we get is Ill Fate. So if we ever have a character destroyed, we have to raise our threat by 2. Let's attach that to Darrowwine. And then we end up with a Wild Hillman as the Surge. Okay, so we added 3 threat, which means the enemies do not make any progress. So that's nice. Let's increase our defense. So we are up to 4. So we're halfway through this long night. And we have to engage the Hillman. So now we're engaged with 2 enemies. When the Hillman attacks, he places a progress on the active location. That's easy to forget, so I catch it a little later. Okay, Darrowwine defending for 4, and there is no shadow. Goodbye. I am so glad to see that card go away. And now we have another attack of 3. Gimli is going to have to take this, so he's defending for 2. No shadow there as well. All right, Gimli takes a damage. And then I cannot do any damage back. Even if I trigger the effect on the knight, I'm only attacking for 4. And with the toughness, it doesn't kill anybody. I guess I could do a little damage, but I only want to trigger that ability if I know I'm going to kill somebody. It's kind of a waste just to do a damage. So now we need to check all of our triggers on the quest. We do not have an enemy in the staging area, so that means there is less enemies than the number of players in the game. So we need to reveal an encounter card. The card we get is, the Deeping Culvert. This thing is not great. +1 threat for every ally you control. But it's only 2 progress to clear it. And when we clear it, we get an enemy. So that just added 4 threat. But it is not an enemy, which is awesome because we do not have to place a progress on the quest stage because it's 1 progress for every enemy in the staging area. Okay, let's go into the next round. Okay, the card on top of our deck is Grimbold. Oh, excellent. That is something I'm looking for. Now, I wish I had 2 Snowborn Scouts because then I could clear the culvert. Unfortunately, I only have half of what I hoped for. That's thematic. Okay, well, I can't really play anything, and playing an ally just increases the threat, so let's go questing. I am currently going to send 8 against 8. That's no good. I'm going to need to send Gandalf. So let's make it 12 against 8. And as I said earlier, there should already be a progress on the Hornburg. I forgot to place it there when I got attacked by that Hillman. So let's do 12 against 8. I'm going to spend Aragorn's resources to ready Gandalf right now, and we get the Postern Door, a 3/2, and then while it's active, we get +1 attack for our heroes, and when it's explored, we cannot declare attacks this round. Okay, so I wanted to ready Gandalf before I revealed the card in case I got another Devilry of Saruman blinking text boxes. So we actually don't have the enemies make a progress. That's excellent. I kind of expected them to. So let's go up to 5. I know you can't see the die, but we're at 5 out of 8 there. We can't travel anywhere, so we're getting location locked. And now we have 2 attacks coming of 3. If any of these guys had archery, the Hornburg would reduce the archery by 1. Okay, here I am remembering that I should have had a progress, and then this attack has a progress, and now I have to exhaust a character I control. Nope, I need my characters. So I'm going to spend a leadership resource and cancel that shadow because I was worried this one would also exhaust a character, and it didn't. Okay, but if it had exhausted a character, I could have been in trouble. So I would have had to have exhausted Eomer as well and not kill anything. So I wanted to make sure I could kill something. So I am able to kill one of these guys. I killed the one that is placing the progress. So that's good, but here's where the quest gets hard. I already have 2 locations in staging. I'm getting penalized for any allies I put in play, because that's just adding threat. And I have no enemies in staging right now. So that means I need to reveal an encounter card at the end of combat. And if it's an enemy, it's going to place progress. So that's why my hope was, if I did get an enemy during this step, during this trigger, Eomer would kill it. Oh, man, but it is not an enemy. It's a 5 threat location. I mean, I have 5 threat on Defensive Helm Deep, 5 threat from that location, 4 threat from that culvert. This is bad. But at least they don't place a progress because no enemies in staging. So I'm still on stage 2, but I definitely can't overcome the threat in the staging area. So they are progressing this round for sure. Okay, I'm going to play Grimbold. So he quests for 2, and then if I discard him, I can cancel the attack of an engaged enemy. So I'm going to put him on top of my deck. I'm going to have Gandalf help pay for him. And yeah, he's awesome. He's probably one of the top tier Rohan allies. Absolutely amazing. Definitely include him in your Rohan decks and not Rohan decks. And look, the second half of the Snowborn Scouts arrived. So unfortunately, I can't play that one because it's on top of my deck. But if I could play both of these Snowborn Scouts, I could get rid of that culvert, which would be totally worth it because it's currently a 5 threat location. I have a lot of threat in staging. 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 3. 18. I have 18 threat in staging. There's absolutely no way that I can quest for enough to make it worthwhile. So I'm just not going to send anybody on the quest because the enemies are going to make progress no matter what. So I might as well just keep everybody ready and just assume we're going to the next stage. There's nothing else I can really do. You can't do that forever, but I can do it right now. So I'm not going to send anybody on the quest. Okay, no one's questing, and we get another wild Hillman, so 3 threat. So obviously you can't do this if you weren't playing a defense quest like this, where it's, placing progress instead of raising your threat. I would threat out if I had done this in a normal quest. But yeah, the enemies are progressing, so the Hornburg is explored, so we have to deal damage equal to the number of enemies in play, so I can put a couple damage on some allies. And then this quest stage is explored, or progressed, I guess I should say. So the long defeat will trigger. I can either heal damage, which I definitely have, or draw 2 cards. But I have enough hit points still, so I'm just going to draw the cards. So let's see. Yes! Shadowfax. Excellent. Okay, and then Carol on top of the deck. Okay, let's advance to stage 3, the Hosts of Isengard. When revealed, search the encounter deck, discard pile of victory display for Helm's Gate. Add it to staging area. Shuffle the encounter deck. Make Helm's Gate the active location, returning any previous active location. Now you might think, boy, that's lucky. You already have Helm's Gate. Yeah, there's 2 of them. There's 2 of them. So I got to grab this one. It's pretty terrible. So if I'm not engaged with an enemy, I need to reveal an additional encounter card while it's active. And then when it's explored, enemies get -20 engagement and +2 attack. Terrible. Okay, 3B, 8 progress, defense again, forced after resolving the quests. If the encounter deck did not place at least 1 progress as a result of unsuccessful questing, so not like Devilry of Saruman, it's got to be unsuccessful questing, we have to reveal an encounter card. And at this moment, we just finished resolving the quests. So resolving the quests is placing the progress and all that. So we have to reveal a card, but apparently there was a ruling I was not aware of until after I made this video. So I actually didn't have to reveal a card here. Caleb ruled that quest card should say, after resolving a quest while at this stage. So I reveal an extra card here. Holy cow, it's another culvert. I mean, that is so much threat. And playing allies just increase the threat. It's terrible. Okay, let's not forget to increase our Defense of Helm's Deep value. So we are currently at 6. So we have 2 more rounds to go. Will this night ever end? When will morning come? Ugh, this is pretty bad. Alrighty, let's engage this guy. And yeah, we're in trouble. And the crappy part is, if I kill both of these enemies, I have to reveal an additional encounter card because of Helm's Gate saying I'm not engaged with an enemy. So I don't even think I want to kill both these guys. So this guy places a progress, and it says he makes an additional attack. Yeah, nope. We are definitely going to use a leadership resource to say no thank you. Thank you, Darrowine. And then I think I can pull back Grimbold and stop this attack from happening. So let's stop that attack. So it would have been place a progress and then +1 +1 attack for every progress on the active location. Oh man, so assuming I would have taken the additional attack first, that would have been the 3rd progress placed, which would have cleared the active location. But then that enemy would have got +2 attack. Well, I didn't know what was going to happen. So there was an opportunity for me to clear Helm's Gate with these 2 enemies attacking me. It really stinks because I have all these characters ready. I could easily kill both of these guys, but then that means I have to reveal an additional encounter card because of Helm's Gate. I think I'm just going to kill the Hillman because he places progress. And the other thing that stinks is I could play both of my Snowborn Scouts and just clear Helm's Gate. I'm going to use Guthwini to pull back Grimbold when I used the sword. But I could play the Snowborn Scouts, and that would clear Helm's Gate, which would be great. But I need to use the Snowborn Scouts to get rid of one of these culverts. Oh, man. If I didn't have those culverts in the staging area, I would have definitely killed both enemies, then Snowborn scouted away the active location. But I need to get rid of one of these culverts. It's a tough situation to be in. All right, let's go into the next round. It's really bad, guys. It's not looking good, to be honest. All right, and then I get a Warden of Helm's Deep on top of my deck. Not what I'm looking for. I'm actually considering using old bogey stories and maybe shuffling my hand away at some point. But let's start out. I'm going to spend both of Eomer's resources, and we're going to play 2 Snowborn Scouts, and then that's going to place 2 progress on one of the culverts. And then when the culvert is explored, I need to search the encounter deck for an enemy, reveal it, and add it to the staging area. So I didn't completely get rid of the threat, but at least now when I'm playing allies, I'm not getting double hit for it. So I think I'm going to take the Uruk-hai Fighter because it does not have a when revealed effect, but it is a 3 threat. So I think I came out ahead there a little bit. Combat, I'm better situated than questing. So, okay, I still have resources to spend, and I think I'm going to use Wizard Pipe. I'm going to put Grimbold back on top of my deck. So having the Guthwini Grimbold combo going is really good. I use Guthwini to kill an enemy. That pulls back a Rohan ally from my discard pile. And then putting Grimbold back in basically just keeps like a feint around that quests for 2. So that's pretty awesome. So Grimbold is back in. If I had Gandalf's Staff, it'd be a lot easier to do this because Gandalf's Staff could be adding a resource and helping me pay for Grimbold. All right, we have to increase the threat of the culvert by 1, so we are at 7 threat on that thing, and Andriel is on top of the deck. I really wanted to get Andriel and Guthwini in play because if you've read the chapter, so many times Aragorn shouts, Andriel, and then Eomer, Guthwini, and it's just, the swords are called out, so it's kind of cool. All right, so maybe next round I play Shadowfax, assuming I make it to next round, and then maybe I shuffle my hand away and see what else I can draw. I really want to get Shadowfax in so Gandalf can ready. Okay. Well, the amount of threat in staging is 6 plus 7 plus 3 plus 5 plus 3. I started to commit characters to the quest and then realized there's no point. There's absolutely no point. I can't even come close to covering that. So once again, I'm going to be sending nobody on the quests, which will advance us to the next quest stage. And I absolutely cannot do that for this next quest stage. So this is the last time I can do this trick. And yeah, I'm in a lot of trouble here. All right, nobody's on the quest. The card we reveal, oh, jeez, the Devilry of Saruman. So I have to place 3 progress on the quest. So yeah, we were definitely advancing no matter what. And then everybody's text box is blank. So that shuts down a lot of stuff. So Helm's Gate is explored. So now enemies minus 20 engagement and plus 2 attack. All right, lots of stuff to keep track of here, guys. It's really hard to keep track of everything. And then that effect doesn't trigger because obviously we placed progress from unsuccessful questing. Now we go to 4A. The wall is breached. Pretty thematic to have Devilry of Saruman just hit. Okay, this says I need to shuffle the discard pile back into the encounter deck, and then I'm going to discard cards until I get an enemy and add that enemy to the staging area. 4B, 8 progress needed, defense, forced. After a character is destroyed, place 1 progress on this stage, bypassing the active location. If this stage is defeated, we lose. So we definitely can't do the trick we've been doing the last 2 rounds. And I wanted to leave the Devilry of Saruman out so I could remember text boxes are blanked, but it needed to get shuffled back into the deck. So the card we ended up getting as an enemy is another one of these Uruk-hai fighters. So we have 3 of those. We're going to travel to the culvert to get all of that threat out of the staging area. So that's going to help a lot. But our defense at Helm's Deep is now 7 threat. So we are one away. We are almost to the morning. The night is almost over. And we have to engage both of these enemies. Because of Helm's Gate, all the enemies are +2 attack. And because of the Devilry of Saruman, all of my text boxes are blanked. So this is definitely a quest where there are so many triggers to keep track of. Very hard to remember everything. Okay, so these 3 enemies are all attacking for 5. Gandalf defending for 4. The shadow is +1, and if it destroys a character, place a progress on the quest. So Gandalf will take 2 damage. Now, Darrowine's defending 4 against 5. No shadow there, so Darrowine will take a damage. And then finally, I was going to have Grimbold discard to cancel this attack, and then I remembered his text box is blank, so I almost misplayed that. And instead, I have to chump. So a Snowborn Scout gets thrown under the bus. Now I have to exhaust a character I control, so I'll exhaust the other one. And because a character was destroyed, I need to attach Overcome by Grief to somebody, so the next time someone's destroyed, Aragorn can't ready until the end of the round. And then I also should have placed a progress on the quest, and I also should have raised my threat by 2, thanks to Ill Fate. So like I said, so many things going on to keep track of. Also, because this enemy killed somebody, he goes up to the staging area. I'm going to remember to place the progress, and I'm going to remember to raise my threat in a later round. Okay, so I can kill one of these guys with my allies, and then my hero with his sword can kill the other and pull back Snowborn Scout with Guthwini. So I was able to kill 2 of the enemies, and I only lost 1 Snowborn Scout. And like I said, I need to raise my threat by 2 and place a progress from the triggers that happen from a character being destroyed. Very difficult quest to catch all of the triggers going on. Definitely not a quest for a new player. Okay, on top of my deck is Gufloth, who's only going to cost 2 because I control a Rohan hero. But I am going to play Shadowfax on Gandalf, and I'm going to use Aragorn's resources because it's better just to spend his resources to put a attachment on Gandalf that readies Gandalf versus spending Aragorn's resources to ready Gandalf when Aragorn could get his text box blanked. So it's just better just to spend the resources for unlimited readying versus potential readying, I guess you should say. Okay, so now I need to decide. Do I want to shuffle my hand away with old bogey stories and look for something else? Or do I just want to play Gufloth off the top of my deck? I think I just play Gufloth. I was hoping maybe to get a Spear of the Mark so Éomer could attack into the staging area better, but at this point, I don't think that matters because my threat is so high. So let's just spend 2 resources. Now I have another ally in play that has some hit points. And a Hallbreak of Mail on top of my deck, that's something I was looking for that would have been nice to put on Darrowine. So, okay. I think we're ready to go into the quest phase. So here's a recap of what's going on. There's 18 threat in staging. I have 1 progress on the quests. I cannot let the enemies place 7 more progress on the quests. The active location has 2 progress. So that means the enemies can make 8 progress and I don't lose. The most I can send is 16, but Éomer is going to spend a resource and kill this Uruk-hai soldier up there. So now I'm only up against 15. I forget to move the marker, so for a while there, I think I'm questing against a little more. This is me remembering, okay, someone was destroyed, so I should have placed a progress. If they place 9 progress, I lose. And the card we get, it's so thematic and it's so terrible. Night Without End. What a time to reveal this. So Doom 2, and then I have to decide either I remove a resource token from Defense of Helm's Deep, or I reveal 2 encounter cards. Are the 2 encounter cards going to be enough threat for the enemies to progress? If I reveal 10 threat, I lose. One of the culverts are back in the deck. There's enemies and locations with 4 threat. I don't want to go another round, though, because my threat is so high, and it should be 2 higher. So, yeah, 2 encounter cards incoming, and kaboom! Devilry of Saruman on the culvert. So, thematic, win. And that places 3 progress directly on the quest. And then we get a 3-threat Hillman. So I'm still up against 18, and I sent 16. So we're going to place enough progress to clear the culvert, but not place progress on the quest. So I do not lose here. All my text boxes are blanked, and I need to find an enemy because the culvert was exploded by the Devilry of Saruman. So the thematic stuff that's happening in this quest is really insane. So let's find an enemy. I think I'm going to get one of these hillmen because I don't plan on traveling. So let's just get a hillman. They don't have archery or anything. And yeah, that's going to place the 8th resource token on Defense of Helm's Deep, and that means we get to advance to stage 5. The king rides out. Shuffle the encounter discard pile into the encounter deck, discard cards until we get an enemy, and then add each enemy to the staging area. Okay, adding an enemy, we get a one we haven't seen before. This is the Isengard Uruk. I guess I like making this quest harder on myself because I reveal it instead of just adding it, so I deal out 3 damage among characters I control. I shouldn't have had to do that. It was just added to the staging area. You don't trigger when revealed effects when you're adding an enemy. So dealt out 3 damage that I didn't need to deal out. And then 5B, skip the quest phase. Players cannot reduce their threat. And then once there's no enemies in play, we win. So, okay, text boxes are blanked. I am not going to travel because the hillmen would place progress when they attack, and that would clear this postern door, which then would mean I can't attack back. And then I don't want to travel to Helm's Gate and have that go off because then enemies attack for more. So I'm just not going to travel. I don't have to quest anymore, so that's okay. Okay, we got some archery that I dealt out, and then each of these guys are attacking for 3. Okay, text boxes are blanked again, so it's easy to forget that. Let's have Gandalf defend the first one. He's defending for 4. There goes a culvert. Okay, so no shadow, so Gandalf's fine. Darrowwine will defend this one, and then this is where I see that ill fate on him and realize I should have raised my threat by 2. So I catch that trigger. So I think I caught all the triggers in this quest, and I even revealed an extra encounter card and dealt out extra damage. So I think I did it right. All right, +1 if it destroys a character, place a progress. Okay, no problem. Darrowwine survives that. And then I can't discard Grimbold. I almost did. I actually discarded him, and then I was getting rid of the shadow card, and then I remembered that a Devilry from Saruman had gone off. I actually had to rewatch the video because I'm like, wait. I think a Devilry of Saruman went off this round. So I can't discard Grimbold, but this guy's attacking for 3, and Darrowwine has some extra hit points thanks to the Raiment of War. And if he gets destroyed, yeah, I lost a hero, but it's not one that I'm really worried about bringing back. So I think it's worth the risk of taking this undefended. Darrowwine might live. If I have to raise my threat by 2, that's okay. And not readying Aragorn is also going to be okay. Okay, the shadow is nothing. Okay, so he actually lives, so I don't have to worry about any of those triggers. And now we can attack back with anybody that we have ready. We just need to kill all the enemies. Now, unfortunately, I don't have many characters ready. Gimli can swing for 2, and if I use the knight's ability, he swings for 4. So I can attack for 6. That's enough to kill this Uruk that has archery. So we can at least kill one of these guys. Now the knight goes in my discard pile. And no quest phase. I just got to worry about threading out, which, since I'm not revealing a card, would just be if I have to go additional rounds. So everybody can ready. Text boxes will no longer be blanked. No quest phase. I should be able to win this round. And what an epic quest. And I made it a lot harder on myself. So, well, there's Proud Hunters. That would have been useful. I've killed a lot of enemies and could have used those resources with all these cards in hand. Let's put Andruil into play. Like I said, I really wanted to get both these named swords into play. So Aragorn now has +1 to his stats. And then when he's declared a defender, he gets to attack back. And that's not an attack that I'm declaring. It's an attack thanks to Andruil. So then I can attack again. All right, let's defend. Let's do this first. Exhaust a character I control. Sure, Snowborn Scout, who has no defense. And then Aragorn's going to defend here. No shadow. Then Andriel says Aragorn can swing back, so Aragorn will attack back for 4. And like I was starting to say, this is not a framework attack. I, the player, am not declaring this attack. It's Andriel declaring Aragorn as an attacker. So that means even if Aragorn does not destroy this enemy, I still get to declare my attack against the enemy. So Aragorn is going to swing for 4. That's going to do a little bit of damage to this guy. And then I still have all these other characters ready, including Éomer with Gwythyni. Gandalf can be readied thanks to Shadowfax. So when it's all said and done, I have plenty of characters to take out these last 2 enemies. Helm's Deep has been defended. It has never been taken by an enemy. We have won. Wow. And then the campaign resolution just says we would have earned Poisoned Council if I had put it in my deck. Can you imagine drawing that thing and then having to discard your entire hand? Just how terrible that is. So yeah, I think we made the right call there. We only took the Poison Council at the beginning of the quest and did not muster an army, but we don't have to worry about taking it for the rest of the campaign. All right, everybody, that was pretty epic, very long, I know. Thank you so much for watching this video. Up next, we're going to see what the Ents are doing over at Isengard. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.